Hello friends, in our previous videos we have seen what are the good and the bad positions of Saturn. Apart from knowing the position of Saturn in your Rashi chart, in your D-1 chart, it is very important to assess the strength of Saturn in the Navamsh chart also, because the Rashi chart gives a particular type of information, whether the strength of the planet, how it is being placed, is it favorable to you or not. But Navamsha chart gives what that planet is going to do. Is it going to be a favorable planet throughout its dasha, or is it going to be a challenging dasha for you? So Navam's chart will tell you about the intrinsic strength of any planet. So now we are going to consider the planet Saturn, which is as usual, which we are considering from our previous videos. So let's look at the screen right now. Okay. So I have taken my favorite ascendant, Cancer ascendants. So because for Cancer and Leo ascendants, Saturn has to be placed well, because if the dasha of Saturn is what is going to determine their position in the society, because Saturn is not the yoga karaka for Cancer ascendant. So Saturn has to be placed well in the chart. So let's look at let's say Saturn is placed in the seventh house for a Cancer ascendant. So Saturn being placed in the seventh house, Saturn is being placed in its own sign of Capricorn. Okay, the Saturn is going to do the work of seventh house, the Karakatvas of seventh house during its Dasha period. So the Saturn will give the native, for example, marriage during its Dasha period, Saturn will give. So, however, if Saturn is going to be placed in the eighth house, it is not very desirable, because wherever Saturn sits, it destroys that house. The only thing is that the Saturn will give the marriage, but also marital life will be challenging. So these are the smallest predictions that we do. But however, is the Saturn going to be that bad for this native? Being a Cancer ascendant, is a Saturn going to give major challenges during its Dasha period? How can we know it? How can we study Saturn further? So let's look at the Navamsh position. So in Navamsh chart, before diving in, we have to see the most important positions of Saturn, because there are houses, there are signs which will give the results basically. So if you look at the houses of Jupiter, Sagittarius and Pisces are the houses of Jupiter. Jupiter is the most benefic planet in our astrology. Jupiter is considered to be the most benefic planet in the Navamsh. If Saturn is going to be placed in the Navamsh of Jupiter, say Saturn, if it is placed in the sign of Sagittarius or Pisces, it will not give that bad results, even though the Saturn might be badly placed in the Rashi chart. So in the Navamsh, if Saturn is going to be placed in the houses of Sagittarius and Pisces, Saturn will not give more. How can we say? Because Saturn is not going to be that challenging for you during its dasha. However, there will be challenges, but Saturn does well in the house of Jupiter when it is placed in the Navamsh of Jupiter in the D-9 chart. So there is a mark associated with each of these houses. If you look at Sagittarius, Sagittarius is the Mool Trikon house for Jupiter. So Saturn well placed in Jupiter's house, say like Sagittarius in Navamsh, it's going to give 100%. So we can give a mark of like say 100%. These marks are just meant to mention that the bad effects of Saturn are almost filtered when Saturn is going to be placed in this chart in the Navamsh of Jupiter. If Saturn is going to be in this Pisces sign, the other house of Jupiter, so Saturn we can give around 90%, can consider like it's 90%. The Saturn is being placed very comfortably. Now look at the houses of Venus. Venus is the second most benefic planet next to Jupiter. If Saturn is going to be placed in the sign of Libra, Libra is the Mulatrikon house for Venus. So Saturn there, it gives like 80% of good results when placed in Libra sign in Navamsh. And Saturn gives 70% good results when placed in Taurus Navamsh, in the other house of Venus. And when it comes to Gemini and Virgo, so Saturn, Mercury is another friend to Saturn. The next most benefic planet we can consider is to be like Mercury. So Mercurian sign of Virgo, Saturn gives 60% of good results, and in the sign of Gemini, it gives 50% of good results. So you just have to remember this to finally say that what Saturn is going to do in its Dasha period. However, you need to look at the first Rashi chart, confirm how Saturn is placed there. Then just to double confirm whether Saturn is going to give me immediate benefit, good results, or it's going to delay the results, then you can just confirm it with Navamsh placement of Saturn. Okay. So we saw around like 6 houses where Saturn does good. And there are another 6 houses where Saturn does not do good. Saturn, if it is going to be placed in the sign of Cancer, Cancer is the sign of Moon, and Moon is an enemy to Saturn. So, based on how the strength of the Moon in your birth chart, say like if it's an Amavasya Moon, it's a Purnamashya Moon, how well the Moon is, you can give Saturn a mark of 0 to 80%. If it is going to be an Amavasya Moon, Saturn placed in the Cancer will not give any good results. So, you have to rely completely on the Saturn position in your Rashi chart alone. Okay. Next, Saturn placed in the sign of Leo. Leo is ruled by Sun, and Sun is an enemy to Saturn. So Saturn just give 20% results, good results here when placed in the Navamsh of Sun. Saturn, another enemy to Saturn is Mars. So if you take the Aries sign, Aries is Mulatrikon sign for Mars. So when Saturn is placed in Aries, it gives 35% good results, and Saturn placed in the sign of Scorpio gives 25% results, good results. When you look at Saturn's own signs like Capricorn and Aquarius, if you have a look at the Capricorn and the Aquarius signs, then you will see that Saturn placed in Capricorn will give 15% results, because Capricorn is again a Shara house. So Saturn gives 15% good results, and in the sign of Aquarius, it gives 5% or even 0%, because Aquarius is where Saturn does have its malefic effects to its fullest. So any planet that is placed in the sign of Aquarius in the Navamsh will give very average results. That's what we can say. So this is how you can assess the strength of the planet. This is just a secondary placement. You should not directly look at the Navamsh placement. Navamsh placement is just to confirm whether the planet, what is the intrinsic strength of the planet. I would say, what is the intrinsic strength of any planet. I have taken an example of Saturn. You can apply to any planets there in your horoscope and see like how it is placed in Navamsh. So this is with respect to signs. However, even though if Saturn is placed in the says like Saturn is going to be placed in the sign of Aquarius, say like if it is placed along with Jupiter, then it is going to give better results. Say like you can like 55% results, good results. So Saturn placed along with Venus, Saturn placed along with Mercury. So these sort of things also makes a planet give better results. It's not only the sign. So I have covered the sign part. However, in Navamsh, if Saturn is going to be placed along with Jupiter, Venus, or Mercury, then it will definitely give good results. Conversely, you can say like if Saturn is placed in Sagittarius or Pisces, but it is placed along with Mars, still it will give average results only. So these are the things that you need to consider when you're considering the Navamsh position of any planet in your horoscope. So that's it, friends. So if you have any questions or queries, please do feel free to comment, and I shall be very happy to answer you. Thank you.